Banjo Kazooie, often considered the watermark of excellence in composer Grant Kirkhope's many soundtracks, and one of the finest platformers for the Nintendo 64. Very few other games come close to having so many memorable melodies paired with fantastic gameplay to let players reach an almost zen state of happiness. It's beautiful, and in my opinion, one of the best games of all time. This is the racing spin-off for the Game Boy Advanced. It sucks. Banjo Pilot was originally envisioned as a sequel to the Nintendo 64 game Diddy Kong Racing. Announced as Diddy Kong Pilot, it and several other GBA games for Nintendo had to be reworked after Microsoft purchased Rare from Nintendo in 2002. Puzzle game Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers was re-envisioned into It's Mr. Pants. Really? And Diddy Kong Pilot was like, yeah, we'll put the banjo on. He's not a Nintendo. Put the banjo. He was in Diddy Kong. Banjo. Kids like the banjo. So it became Banjo Pilot. As such, composers Robin Beanland and Jamie Hughes didn't have the time to recompose the soundtrack from its original Donkey Kong themed shape. This makes the whole soundtrack very, very unfitting for a banjo game. However, I'm determined to find one standout song, one song that screams, this is a Banjo-Kazooie game, one track that'll prove that a series named after musical instruments didn't produce a game that was, musically speaking, a waste of time. So come on, Banjo Pilot, come on, show me what you got! This isn't making things easy on me. To give context, this track plays on several race courses, including the game's first track, Spiral Mountain. This is the Spiral Mountain theme. This is supremely Donkey Kong Country. The swing style that's become synonymous with the Donkey Kong name over the years is in full force here, and nary a banjo or stringed instrument in sight. To be fair, the piece does use a lot of lower brass instruments, which Rare became fond of in the late 90s for boss battles and the like, especially with Banjo-Tooie, so the sound set could theoretically work for a banjo game. My issue here is that the samples used are terrible. The percussion is oddly muted, and the samples of the piano track are so artificial and just bad. The Game Boy Advanced isn't a technical powerhouse when it comes to audio layering, but instead of working around this weakness, Beanland and Hughes have made the weaknesses readily apparent. And my god, these horns toward the middle just screech so horrendously. The brass is catchy enough, but the whole thing just collapses in on itself, feeling hollow, and begs for a remix that it isn't good enough to get. Now this is a banjo track. Clearly inspired by Mad Monster Mansion from the first game, this track plays whenever the player is having a conversation with Gruntilda or the game's Witchy World track. It's filled with dimension, interspersed with cartoony sound effects, and a xylophone that actually sounds good on the GBA? I'm in heaven. This track just... Ah! What is that damn fiddle? I understand the kind of classic horror chords it's trying to go for, but it's painful to listen to the sample. It's like a young child wailing through their nose. It is distinctly louder than the other instruments, just dominating the sound. Which is a shame, because there's a great breakdown in between these two fiddle sections. Gives the song a great amount of weight and depth. I mean, listen to it. but the song never wants to evolve past being a poor man's Mad Monster Mansion that shoots itself in the foot halfway through with this. However, the game has proven that it can create music befitting a banjo. Can it create a song that's actually good? Well... Gypsies Dudes is a song that more similarly fits Beanland's other work, most specifically Conker's 12 Tales with its whistling and upbeat tone. However, just listen to it. The sheer cheerfulness, the variation of the whistles through the song, giving a great contrast to the steel drums and tropical feel. The low brass used in Spiral Mountain's composition is made to support the track here rather than carry it on its shoulders, and it does a masterful job of keeping the tempo going. I don't quite get why this plays in desert stages of all environments, but hey, it's good music. It feels like a good middle ground between Diddy Kong Racing, Conker, and Banjo. I'm willing to give a Happy Marriage a pass. Even if the tribal chanting in here is kinda disconcerting, it does what banjo is supposed to do best. Evoke a strong emotion and let the player have fun with it, get sucked into a cartoon world, and associate the song with the happy memories that they make along the way. Going through this game was a right pain, but being able to dig this out of it, it was worth it.
No! No! No!
Banjo Pilot has some of the most disjointed audio that I've ever heard from a game. When it's trying to clearly evoke Donkey Kong or Banjo's stylings, it either fails spectacularly or creates a mediocre piece of music. But on the rare occasions where it glimpses what made the original Banjo tracks so great and does its own thing with them, it becomes a very serviceable musical offering. Nothing in the game is a masterclass in sound, but there's a joy in going through a forgotten or beaten down game and finding a gem or two within it. Whether that's a character, a story element, a gameplay mechanic, a setting, or a song, it's a special feeling to go through a game and find something worthwhile to bring out and share. I'd love to see Gypsies Dudes made into a remix or brought back in another game, and maybe some of you will find something worthwhile on Banjo Pilot that I couldn't. Leave any thoughts on the game or its music in the comments below. Tell us what you think. Please hit that subscribe button so we can eat. I'm Pyrrhickong, and until next time, I'll keep chipping away at some tunes.